Hello everyone. I'm going to share a baby quilt I made recently. Just a couple of days ago, I just made a baby quilt for someone I know. And this is a panel baby quilt. It is not a quilt top. I didn't make the quilt top. It's just a panel I got and I made with this. Got the backing fabric and quilt top and also the panel top, and also I got the batting. I picked the cotton batting. That's the backing fabric, and I layered them nicely and spread them evenly. This is the tricky part, these kind of get stick to each other all the time, and I was trying to. This is my first time making this kind of quilt, so I was a little nervous, but see, that's how I pinned it. These pins are like curved on the bottom side, on the open side where the sharp side is, that is curved a little bit. So these are called quilting safety pins. These are safety pins, but the quilting pins are different. The bottom one is curved. So when you, without getting any folds, you can pin them on there, but I'm not very good at it, but I tried. It worked. But every time, you need to start it from the middle, because if you have any folds, you can push them out to the edges. So if you start at the edges first, it's hard to avoid any uh, folds. So then it all wrinkles up. That's one lesson I learned. I was taught, told by somebody. So that really worked. I pinned all around so the three layers stick together and won't move. Then I took a ruler and marked how I want to sew. I put the lines diagonally, starting from the middle, and both sides I went. And then I picked this wavy, curvy, wavy kind of stitch on my machine, and I got a gray color uh, thread and sewed it. See the gap, I have a little bit gap, like about a 4-inch gap in between. Not, it's about 3-inch gap, I guess. So because I drew the lines first, I was going on the line, and I didn't get to mess. It is always better to have the lines, unless you are very, very professional in this and expert in this. So just I drew, first time I drew the lines, this like about 3.5 inches apart, and stitched that curvy stitch. Then I saw another stitch. I was not sure how far I want to put those gap between. Nothing planned. I just did whatever came to my mind. And then I see the gap is more. So then I pick the middle. See, if you see that in the middle, there is a more even wavy thing. It's the only one side. It is going up like a cloud. So that's the one I picked to go in between. First I start in the middle line, and then I went one side, right side, and then left side. So I like the diagonal one. Sometimes I do straight, sometimes diagonal. It goes with both are good. I always, this curvy lines, this is the first time I did. Usually I didn't realize I have it in my sewing machine, that option. I never tried any extra different options I have. I have about a 90 or 100 stitches in there. I never tried any of those. So this is the first time I tried, and it really worked well. It looks so beautiful. So now I have to even out all the edges. So usually I do the straight line thing, but in these stitches, the length and width, everything already pre-set. If I'm going a straight stitch, I always use number 2 for stitching a quilt. Number 2 is standard. When I went to the classes, that's what I was taught. Number 2 is the one standard, for quilting. There is no backing up back and forth, locking the stitches or anything. Never do that in quilting. Just go straight ahead. So now I cut the edges all evenly. Make sure all the 3 layers are even. And sometimes I always take the batting more, and that is recommended actually. When you're putting on a quilting machine, you need to have a lot more batting than the backing fabric in the quilt top. But the backing fabric and quilt top are not evenly cut before, but it worked out okay after I set it, then I cut all the way, all the 4 sides evenly, and now I am preparing the binding fabric. See, I cut these 2.5-inch strips. Now I put them on top of each other and sew diagonally as I shown here, and cut that extra thing. Now fold it back and it comes into a straight line. It is always, instead of to avoid the bulk, this is the best way to sew. Like, you see, you cut that extra part and fold this way and iron it on that side. The stitch need to be ironed, open in the middle and iron both sides evenly to have the same even bulk on both sides. You need to iron that part. That is very important. And that's how I attach the strips. Like, this is 2.5 inches width, and how much ever the fabric length is, 2.5 inch length, I should say. I think fabric width is the standard 42 to 45 inches, 40 to 45 depending on the company, I think. So now I'm attaching that. What I did was, that 2.5 inches with the fabric, I folded in the middle and ironed it. So that way, we have a strip, like binding strip. So this one, what I did, I won't start in a corner. We should always start in the middle of one side. And when you're starting, you better measure that width is 2.5. At least leave 5 inch at least for your comfort. We need to have some wiggle room when you're joining the 2 edges. So at least leave 5 inches of the fabric and put it on the raw ends on one side, and sew like 1/4 inch all around. When you come to the corner, I'll show you how to fold it. That's the corner. When you are 1/4 inch away from the corner, stop right there and bring it out and fold it the way I showed you in the picture, in the video. So that's how you need to fold. And the raw edges again straight on the other side, and continue sewing on that part. Usually, if you're new to this, pin it and for ahead of time and sew it. But since I know I've done a lot of them already, so I don't need pinning. So that's how I come to the end. I sewed all the 4 sides and came to the end. See, this is how it is now. They need to overlap exactly 2.5 inches. That's it. Don't, if anything extra binding fabric there, cut it out. So we left 2 inches, twice the 2.5 inches, which is 5 inches on the beginning. And we do the same thing on the end also. And then both the sides, like we did it before, like how we attach 2 pieces together. That's how we attach here. So having exact same width amount of fabric there really helps. So again, go ahead and both the sides are attached, and fold them back and iron them, and continue stitching the 1/4 inch stitch and close all the way to the end. Go little more so the stitch can be locked there. And now we need to fold it back. This is called stitch in the ditch. Yeah, you don't have to be perfect, this comes by practice. Just don't worry if you didn't do it really good on this. So the stitch in the ditch is that's what it is. on the fold, like where both are joining, you fold that fabric to the back and stitch in that fold. I'm still finishing that part. Now it's done. Now see, when you fold it like back, it comes evenly. You don't have to worry about the corners. Corners are coming evenly because we use that. See, on the back side also. So now go back and start from the beginning, from one corner, and start stitching in the ditch. Push the fabric back, the fold back, and you don't stitch on the back side. As you think, like you might think like we are stitching. No, we are stitching in the front side. You don't see the stitch in the front side, but it showed only on the back side because you are stitching on the front side in the ditch. That is called the ditch. You're stitching in that ditch, so it's catching on the back. Make sure you're pushing the fabric evenly in the back and folding it, so no rush here. You need to do it very slowly and patiently. This is a baby quilt, that's why you could do the quilt topping, like on a quilting on the top on the regular machine. Otherwise it's a little harder, like the bulk of the fabric, it is hard to manage on there. So that's why people always give it to some professionals who has the frames. If you don't have a tightly folded, or when you're sewing, like quilting on the top, like mixing, putting all the 3 layers together, if you really if you mess up a little bit, you see folds everywhere and it doesn't look good. So that's why usually most of them, like even though they are quilting for a long time, if they don't have a frame, they don't take chances. This is not the machine. You could switch sew a twin size, queen size, quilt size, king size quilts. This is for a baby quilt and a lap quilt. This is fine. See, that's how it's catching on the back. See, I sewed on the mid ditch and it caught on the back, and back is also secured. So now I did the same thing all the 4 sides. Look at the finished product. It looks so beautiful. So I like these cotton quilts, like even the batting is cotton, both sides. It can be anywhere in the world can be used because it's not too hot or too cold. With this one, it's very comfortable. Cotton is always better. So look at, I'm showing you the whole product again one more time. Hope you liked my video. If you do, please subscribe. I'll be posting more. This is the basic quilting. I really found a very nice panel. Try this next time when you see a good panel, and it doesn't have to be a panel. Any 2 fabrics can do it if you want to do the top quilt like this, quilting like this. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.